If sexual orientation was a choice, do you think I would choose to like men? 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 Women are so much more beautiful, or do you think I choose to like men?
Of course they don't, because now they're held accountable and now they can't just run away scot-free. In the past, men could convince their wives to be stay-at-home moms for 20-something years, get bored with Carol and decide he's going to move in with Lucille and the 7 kids they've created together without Carol's knowing. Now Carol and their kids are sitting on the side of the road. They got no money, no place to live, no food, and Howard's just out living his best life. But now, Howard can get his happy ass up and decide he's tired of Carol. But guess what? He's paying Carol his retirement, Social Security, alimony, child support, so Carol can actually survive and ruin his life if she wants to. As she should. Y'all are really just out here exposing yourselves and strengthening the stereotype that all men are trash. Now, I don't believe that, but I do think a big majority of men just want to do whatever the fuck they want to. They don't want to be a good husband. They don't want to be a good father. They want to do whatever the hell they want to. That's why y'all are mad that we actually have laws that recognize our worth and pay us if you decide to fuck us over. Stay mad!
Hey! So I just thought of something. I've dated 2 guys my entire life, and neither of them have posted me on social media, not once. Not like a story, nothing. Do you think it's because I'm like super pretty that they don't want other guys to like take me from them, you know? That has to be it. That has to be it. Yeah.
Guys, anyone who tries to tell you that marriage in 2021 is a good idea for men is out of their damn minds, okay? Gentlemen, we're going to be covering a few Reddit stories today, which I really want to highlight and just kind of show you what marriage can look like, all right? Because in 2021, guys, if you didn't know, women can literally leave at any given point in time for any reason and file under irreconcilable differences. Okay, women can literally up and leave a marriage at any point and take you for your assets, take you for your kids, stuff like that, and just walk away as though, you know, and have an insurance policy for the rest of their life. Okay, this is not something that's afforded to men. Most of the time when women date guys, I don't care if they'll sit there and they'll tell you, oh, it's all about love and it's all about, oh, I just want to care about a guy. Women do not date down, guys. Women date men with more money. They date men who are more attractive than them, who put more into life, who actually, you know, they date men who are taller, guys. They date men who are richer. They date men who are attractive and more intelligent. Women do not date their equals, okay? So when they get into marriages and stuff like this, I'm just going to give it to you straight, guys. A lot of marriages, when women enter into them, they enter into them because they want it to be an insurance policy for their life. Okay, they don't necessarily care about the dude. They don't necessarily care about, you know, who he is as a person. A lot of dudes who are getting into marriages, these women are picking up men, getting into marriages once they realize that the attention is drying up, and then sucking these guys for resources and having a Mr. Fix-It at home. I mean, you look at a lot of marriages, gentlemen, and what it essentially is it's a guy running around trying to pay all the bills, show her that he cares, do all these things for her, oftentimes, you know, take care of kids that aren't even his. Okay, and he's just like this Mr. Fix-It guy at home that's supposed to do everything that she wants. And we as men, we're just supposed to accept that, hey, when women rock around to 30, we're supposed to be what? Their insurance policies. And people will say, oh, Taylor, it's not like that, you know, women date because of love and, you know, not all women are after money and all this kind of crap, guys. The fact that women can do it is the problem. You know, it's not a question of whether or not all women will divorce their dudes and take them for half their crap or the kids or whatever the case may be, guys. It's the fact that they have the power to do that if they want, just because. You see what I'm saying? Women can literally leave a relationship at any given point in time, and make no mistake, guys, when the relationship ends, you think that you as a man, you're going to come out the other end smelling like roses? No. What women do, guys, when they leave relationships is they paint the other person as a terrible human being. Especially if the woman herself has done something wrong. When a woman cheats, right? When a woman ends a relationship, you know, or just screws it up through her own actions, what she'll do is she'll paint the guy as someone who's done something terrible, right? She'll paint the guy as, oh, he's the A word, right? I don't really want to throw that around because you will have a hissy fit, right? But, you know, girls will call guys the A word or say that they're this and that. And you look at the guy and it's like, no. You know what I mean? She has no evidence to substantiate what she's saying. All she's trying to do is paint these guys as a bad person. Gentlemen, you may notice if you're a man and you've been in a relationship, right? And when the relationship ends, you're going to notice that a lot of things are not going to end favorably for you. Maybe you've lost some friends. Maybe some people seem to think differently about you. When relationships end, guys, what ends up happening is women will end it in such a way that one, that oftentimes you think that you ended it. That's not the case at all. Women will create problems so that you end it sometimes. You know, like women will manipulate the end of breakups, guys. That's the first thing. The second thing is that when you get out of the relationship, you as a guy, and this is something we've covered a lot before, right? You as a guy, you might think that the relationship ended when it ended. Your relationship was over months ago, guys. It was over months ago. And we're going to be talking about a few things as we crack in momentarily to today's Reddit stories in regards to that. But what is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with another response video. And on today's show, guys, we're going to be trash talking marriage because it is a terrible idea. So without further ado, guys, if you're interested in supporting the channel, make sure you check out the locals link in the description. It is totally free for the first month with code Fiendish, guys. So make sure you check that out if you're interested. But shilling aside, we're just going to jump right into today's first Reddit story. And again, thank you guys for sending these in. It saves me time having to search for them. So if you guys have Reddit stories that you want to have read or TikToks and the like, make sure you send them through to mrfiend11@gmail.com. Please don't send them to me on other places, guys. I probably won't be able to get to them. Make sure that you email them. So let's jump in. My wife cheating on our 10-year anniversary. Yep, it says it all. I work in construction. With the rain, we have had some crazy hours trying to make up time that we missed. So I work 12-hour days on the days that it's nice, sometimes a little longer. If it's raining when I get up, I don't go in. Some days we get sent home when it starts. It's too dangerous. I usually hit the gym for an hour or two. Thursday, we started at 6 a.m. mid-morning. Starts to rain hard. We go home. I go to the gym as usual. I cut the workout short and head downtown to see my wife Megan, to give her flowers and make plans for dinner that night if possible. We really haven't seen much of each other this week. I went to bed at around 9. She wasn't home, called earlier, and she is working late. Not unusual for the past month. I stopped and got some flowers and went into her building at around 12:30. Nicole was at the receptionist desk. I told her I got here later than I wanted, and could she put the flowers on Megan's desk? She said, I don't think they went to lunch yet. Why not just drop them off yourself? She buzzed the door to get back to the offices. The place was deserted. I went to her office. The door was closed. I always walk in unless the receptionist tells me that she is in a meeting. I walk in and some guy is standing behind her, nuzzling her neck. She is reaching back over his head. She is giggling only as she can, saying we've got to get this done. I am gut punched. I slammed the flowers down, happy anniversary, and walked out. I didn't hear what she said, just went past Nicole, said goodbye, and left. Made it to the elevators and out the building, then my phone started ringing. Guys, something to point out, like whenever you see cheating stories about marriage and stuff like that, and like if the relationship ends on bad terms and it's of the woman's doing, that does not mean that she is not eligible to take your assets and your kids. You see what I'm saying, guys? So even though women can come out of the end of a relationship and they were the ones that, you know, screwed things up or whatever the case may be, it doesn't necessarily mean that they can't take you for your money and your kids and stuff like that. And this is something that is built into the marriage system, guys. Right? And it's not as if these women can't go out and get jobs after the fact. And guys, something I want to say as well, and this is something we bring up quite often, is the fact that when these things go to court, what's going to happen to you as a man is it is common practice to paint the man as the villain, because it's an easy thing to do. Right? It's easy to say, oh, yeah, well, he was a bit aggressive in this regard, and, you know, this thing happened here, and I'm just not sure that he would be, you know, totally safe and a good guy to be around. I'm just not sure he would be the best environment. And then before you know it, the guy's painted as like this evil, terrible guy, and he can't see his kids. Right? And this is something that happens to men, guys. And this is something that happens to lesser effects in, you know, you might not necessarily lose your kids, but let's just say you're a younger guy. What women will do when relationship ends is, the way I would describe it is they kind of like draw a moat around you. You know, like castles have a moat around them, guys, where, you know, it kind of separates you from other people. And what women will do is they know that if they make up some crap about you, what's going to happen is other people aren't going to want to deal with you. Right, and people get really confused when they'll say, "Oh, Taylor, why do you say that women do this?" Right, like that's so mean. Not all women do this. It's like, okay, right. If you want to play that card, let's just talk about it like this. Men, for the most part, don't even know how the hell to do that. You know what I'm saying? Whenever we talk about manipulation, guys, when guys manipulate, do you know where they learned all the manipulation from? Right, I always find it super interesting because guys are really bad manipulators for the most part. Yeah, we've got some dudes out here who, you know, who can manipulate people, guys. But when I look at relationships, particularly when I look at dudes who want to do the best for their family and they care about their, you know, they care about their friends and their family, they're hard workers and stuff like that. These guys have no idea how to manipulate. Right? They don't know how to end a relationship and make the girl look bad and make themselves look good. Hell, these guys don't even know the relationship was going to end. Right? And you want to talk to me about the fact that, and say, Taylor, oh, you know, not all women should do this, or, you know, you shouldn't talk about this. It's like, this happens to men every day, gentlemen. If you're a guy and you watch these videos, right, and some of the stuff we cover, a lot of this stuff, you know, I get emails all the time, and you guys tell me, like, yep, this happened to me, yep, this happened to me, I didn't think this would happen, but yep, this happened as well. And it's not as if it's a pleasant thing, guys. You know, and I don't make these videos to be overly pessimistic. I don't make them so that people feel crap. The reason why I make a lot of these videos, guys, is because men just don't seem to get it. And I don't say that in a condescending way. I don't mean to say that in a rude way. It's just like a lot of guys are kind of raised with a naivety, right? The idea that all women are angels and it doesn't matter and you should just go out there and you should get married. Hell no, you shouldn't get married, guys. Hell no. Like we've gotten to the point in 2021 where you can look at relationships in general and you can make a good case that they aren't worth it for men. Like that's the point where we're at right now, guys, is the fact that you can actually make a very strong case that men who are walking away from relationships are making the objectively correct decision. And that's a really sad thing to say, you know, but that's just what it is. So let's continue with this story. Yeah, and we'll come back to this, I think. I bawled my eyes out all of the way home. I went into the garage, pulled my camping gear out of the rafters, and took off. I drove about 2 hours to a skate park. I had no idea what to do. I just had to run. I hiked a trail we have been on in the past, about a 3-hour hike. I don't drink much, so I had no booze. I just sat there thinking. Looking back, I am glad I was in a rush. Normally, I bring something that I can't really talk about on the YouTube channel, so let's continue. My phone was blowing up from Megan, so I had turned it off. I left the car park to get reception, turned it on to see my good friend had called. I called him back. He said Megan called him to check on me, make sure I didn't do anything stupid. We talked for a bit, told him I've got to think this through and that we would catch up on Friday. That's good that he had a mate to ring him, like even if the wife kind of rang in between, like it's good to see that he has a mate, but let's continue. So while I am thinking about this, I go over our marriage from the beginning to see what I missed. We come from completely opposite backgrounds. My grandfather raised me with my mother. He taught me about life. He had a little saying about everything. He told me marriage would be the hardest job I ever had. You had to work on it every day. I miss him. We did not have much. Heard mother and grandpa having many discussions about bills. They worked hard, and my brother and I did not miss out on anything we knew of. Gentlemen, whenever I read a sentence like this, I'm just going to pull this up and kind of show you guys a thought process that I have, right? This saying right here, which is that marriage is the hardest job you've ever had and you have to work on it every day. I always find it interesting that this is an idea that's sold to men, right? You need to work on relationships, guys. Relationships are all about the elbow grease you put in, you know, and you just got to invest and you just got to show how much you care and you just got to do all these things, right? The idea behind that is that you as a man, you have to be investing. Okay, and my question to that is why? Right? For what purpose how are you going to incentivize men in 2021 to invest into the current dating scene? How are you going to try and tell men in 2021 to invest into marriage? Like in what kind of good conscience can you tell dudes out here to go and work hard in a marriage, guys? That just makes absolutely no sense to me. and it kind of sets up the wrong dynamic, right? Because you got a lot of dudes who I'm just going to pull up the gameplay while I talk about this for a second. The bad part about this, right, is you get a lot of dudes who go into relationships with the idea that I need to be working on this, right? I need to be showing how much I care. I need to be doing all of these things for her. And the thing is, guys, I'm just going to make it, if a girl is interested in you, relationships and these things are not a struggle. Right? If a girl is attracted to you, she's not going to make things difficult for you. Right? When we talk about dating and stuff like that, when women are attracted to a dude, they don't necessarily make it difficult, guys. Right? Women will get with dudes on the first date, and that'll be that. And they'll go and see them, and they'll have a fun time and stuff. So when girls are trying to make you jump through all these hoops, man, and you have to show how much you invest and all this kind of crap, it's just an indication that she's not attracted to you. I think it's a terrible idea to go, oh, well, you know what? You as a man, you have to show how much you invest straight up, right? I just think that's ridiculous. Let's continue. Anything we knew of. Megan was born into money, not overly rich, but very comfortable. Went to a great college, always great clothes, new car, etc. And she is beautiful, 11 out of 10 beautiful. I would joke with her if she coughed about the silver spoon getting stuck in her throat. We met it off, started dating. I was dumbfounded how such a woman would ever be with me. We dated quite a while before she told me about her parents and lifestyle. Our friends called us the model couple because they thought we were so good looking we had to be models. Families were not as kind, afraid of the differences economically would come into play. Her dad and I started to get along, but my mother took some convincing. It's interesting, guys, right? Because when you're in a relationship with a woman, let me tell you something, right? If you have a sister in the picture, right, and your mother will often do this as well. Your sister and your mother generally know when other women are manipulating you because they themselves either manipulate you or they manipulate other people. Right? Because you see, girls know how other girls play the game. Right? They just don't necessarily like it when it's done to their family members. Right? So if your mother's in the picture, you talk to her, or your sister's in the picture or something like that, they will pick up on the fact that when a girl's manipulating you or when she's not good for you, because they know all the signs, because they think it. All these little manipulation mind games, your sister and your mother know this stuff, guys, because they do it to other people. All right, so just keep that in the back of your mind as we continue onwards. She graduates, gets her first job. We plan on getting married. We work out between us what we would expose each other to in our lives that we live. I took her whitewater rafting. She took me to the symphony. We went ziplining. We went to an art opening, etc. We agreed we had to experience each other's interests. She was really enthused about the more physical things we did. I kind of like the symphony and such. I own 2 tuxes now. I look back and I do not see any red flags. Her first 2 jobs that she quit because all the men tried to get in her pants. She was paraded out in front of for photo ops, invited to conferences where other newbies were not. At a dinner conference, some questionable things happened. This 3rd job has women as some of the partners, and none of that BS is in her workplace. She seems very happy, and we seemed very happy as well. So now Friday, I am home. I called her. I asked her where she was back at work. I was being a smartass in a mood and said that marriage is taking second place to her job. She responded, since I would not talk, what was she to do? Fair enough. She will be home in an hour, so I wait. I want to save our marriage. If I am lacking in providing, then I want to fix it. This stuff, guys, like, it makes me just, I'm just going to sit here, I'm just going to rub my eyes for a second, because when I read this stuff, guys, it really, bloody hell, man. I want to save our marriage. If I am lacking in providing, then I want to fix it. I want to ask why, of course, but I cannot accept an I don't know answer. How do I phrase this? What else should I be asking? I know I will get all emotional and forget everything, so over the next few days, we will be going over and over this. What she did is wrong, but please no degrading comments. She is still my wife. Thank you in advance. Guys, when I read sentences like this, let's have a look, okay? I want to save our marriage. If I am lacking in providing, then I want to fix it. No, my friend, it is not you. Whenever men come out of relationships, right, and the woman has done something terrible, and guys say, oh, yeah, I want to fix it, I want to handle this and I want to do better. It's not you as the man that has to do better, guys. It's her. Right? Why are you, as the dude, sitting here when your wife is cheating on you and your first thought is, okay, I want to save our marriage and I want to fix what I'm providing? That is so backwards. I don't know where to begin, guys. Right? And this is something that a lot of dudes will do. Oh, well, I needed to provide more. Maybe I didn't give her what she needed. Maybe, guys, we have some self-respect and we ain't saving crap. Right? I'm not saving a relation. If a girl cheats, guys, there is no saving to be done. That is the moment that any form of saving, any form of investment is off the table. Okay, and I would encourage you guys to have that kind of self-respect as well. Please don't be putting your investment into people who screw you over. And I have to make this every time we cover a story like this, guys, where it's not going to get any better. Right? If you try and fix your marriage after an event like this, the situation is only going to, progressively get worse for you. This is what people will do, regardless of whether you're a guy or a girl. This is something that men will do as well. Your bosses, whatever the case may be, is that when people recognize that you have a weak boundary or that you put up with their bad behavior and you continue to stay, the behavior only gets worse, guys. Right. This is why for dudes who have been in long-term relationships and you've been in marriages and stuff like that, if a girl comes to you with the problem and you sit there and you try and work it out and you continue to try and work it out and do better, as you're trying to do that, she's going to continually lose respect for you. Right? So women will often come to you, gentlemen, and for the dudes in relationships, you'll know this, where they'll come to you with some stupid demands or things that she could do herself, or she'll just come with some annoying BS, right? And if you sit there and you listen to it and you take it and you go, oh, okay, yeah, well, I'll adjust my behavior in this way, right? Or if she does a terrible, an annoying little behavior and you don't check her on it, you just kind of, not do anything about it, the behavior is going to get worse, guys. It's going to continue to get worse and worse because people recognize when you don't actually respect your own boundaries. Like, it's not as if it's just something that, oh, yeah, it's just something that they ignore. If a girl, this is so true, right? When girls cheat on dudes, if the guy and this goes for women too, actually, right? Is the fact that if you stay in a relationship where someone cheats on you, the cheating will happen again. I don't care if it's full-blown cheating where they get with each other and have bedroom fun, gentlemen, but there's going to be some form of cheating down the line because the person is going to recognize, hey, he or she actually stayed in the relationship after I did that. So what that means is even if I, subsequent to that, if I continue to do it, it's not going to matter and the person is still going to stay. Okay, so that's something you have to consider, with your friends and even family, bosses, romantic relationships, whatever the case may be, guys. I cannot understate how important boundaries are because people will continue to push them. But guys, let's continue into today's next story. And these all have a common theme, guys, which is marriage sucks. So let's have a look at this next one. I, a 37-year-old male, found out my wife, who is 33, has been cheating. Confronting her about it has opened up other horrible truths. Now, before we continue into this, gentlemen, we'll be reading it momentarily, but I just want to point out the fact that you'll notice that a lot of married couples, what happens is the marriage happens at the woman's convenience. And what I mean by that is when women look for marriages, when women look for partners, they're not necessarily looking for partners in their early 20s, guys. These women are holding out, they're wasting their time, they're getting with a whole bunch of dudes, then they're starting to go, oh crap, the attention is drying up, I'm going to sucker in a man as quickly as possible so I have an insurance policy for the rest of my life. Right? If marriage wasn't such an insurance oh crap policy for women, a bailout policy for their terrible life decisions, then why the hell wouldn't they just get married earlier? Because they want to screw around, they want to waste their time, and then they want to cash out their chips afterwards. Okay, so whenever I read this, right, I, a 37-year-old male, I think, okay, this guy's had time to have himself well established, and this woman is right on cue when she's starting to lose the attention from other dudes, and she's starting to go, oh, well, I need to get an insurance policy for my life. That's what goes through my head when I read these two numbers, guys. Is the fact that, oh, this is awfully convenient for her, don't you think? But let's continue. Sorry if this is the wrong place to post. Online advice is a new territory for me. It is a long post with many layers. I've been with my wife for 16 years. Damn, that's not something you see every day nowadays. Married for 14, almost 14. We have 2 daughters. One is mine biologically. The other is mine in every other way. I love them all with all of my being. A few weeks ago, I took my wife to get her eyebrows microbladed, a source of great insecurity for her, during which I hope to enjoy a night of dining and fun in the city, just to enjoy each other's company on a rarely enjoyed date night. While she was enduring the procedure, she left her phone with me. After a bit, a notification popped up. It was my stepdaughter. Even though I'm completely unaware on how to use Snapchat, I thought it would be a fun to surprise her with a response from dad instead of mum. It took a few minutes, but I was able to fire off a goofy picture back to her. After sending, I somehow stumbled in her chat section. At first glance, it was nothing, but then I noticed a name I've always disliked. We'll call him Thomas, just for the YouTube algorithm, boys. All right. I hesitated at first, never wanting to be that type of guy who snoops through her phone, but curiosity got the best of me. I was floored by what I saw. Detailed conversations about stuff that happened recently, the details of which I will mostly keep silent, but let's just state that it was all about certain kind of bedroom activities. I couldn't help but to continue reading. It was difficult for several reasons. The obvious betrayal set aside, as I've learned about Snapchat, portions will delete automatically, so the dates jumped wildly and details were sparse from the past. What I did learn was that it happened a few times over in the past few months, including on my birthday as I slept upstairs. I work very early. I know at my age birthdays aren't as exciting or important, that's aging for you, but it stung a little extra for sure. In between the flirting and the details were pictures, nothing too graphic, but certainly problematic, and probably the most hurtful was how she talked about me. Certainly not much positive, and at best only half true, and at worst just blatant lies or misleading statements. She got to a moment, She got to a moment for a break in her procedure, so I put the phone down. Visibly shaken, she asked what was wrong. Not wanting to cause a scene in public or involve the poor girl doing the procedure in our mess, I just told her I wasn't feeling well and wanted to get some fresh air. I spent the rest of the procedure, about 2 hours, walking downtown trying to figure out what steps will be next. Guys, we're going to take a bit of a breather there before we continue reading. Make sure to leave your comments and your thoughts as we continue talking about this. But something I want to bring up is the fact that this will be something that you'll see happen to men who invest a lot into a relationship. Okay, and this is particularly sad where you might think that by investing and doing all of these fantastic things, paying the bills, working hard, working ridiculous hours, having a long history with the woman. I mean, guys, let's look at this, right? So let's just kind of keep this so we know where we're going. They were together for 16 years. Okay, we as we as men, we kind of look at like that as though, that's a good track record and that's going to sway her behavior because I've been loyal to her for 16 years. Gentlemen, that is not the case at all. Women will treat a dude who they've been with for 16 years the exact same as they can quote unquote love a guy they've been together with for 16 years the same amount that they quote unquote love a guy that they've met for 3 days. Okay, time is so irrelevant to women, guys, it's unreal. The amount of investment that you put in is inconsequential. But the point that I wanted to make here is the fact that men who put everything into relationships and they do all this kind of stuff, they're often really shocked to find out that their girlfriends don't respect them at all and they talk terribly about them behind their back. Women know that, a lot of them are not necessarily worth this investment. Right, so when they see guys investing all this stuff and doing all these things for her, even though she's acting like a brat, right, even though she's doing all these really annoying things and the guy's continuing to invest, she's going to slowly start to lose respect and she's going to treat men like that with men who It's funny, right? Because men are encouraged to put up with all this stuff, but if you as a man, you put up with all this stuff, they strongly dislike you for it. You see what I'm saying? And that's difficult for a lot of men to see because, looking at it from the guy's perspective, it's like, I did so much for you. I did so much. I used so much of my life caring for you, providing for you, and apparently you hate me, right? Apparently you dislike me that much that you're telling other people about this and you're cheating on me. And that's a shock to a lot of guys to see that the investment, guys, to a lot of women, it just straight up doesn't matter, right? And they'll treat you worse for it. Guys who openly commit and they show how much the relationship means to them, oftentimes they're straight up mocked. And that's a difficult thing for a lot of guys to understand. But let's continue onwards. After the procedure, I told her we'd have to put a hold on the other plans to both our dismay, intending to discuss things when we both got home. Once we reached our car, I couldn't hold back. I told her everything I saw. I told her not to touch her phone because I wanted to talk to her about it point by point and didn't want her removing or deleting anything anywhere from her phone. We cried and screamed all the way home. Gotta love how the girl's screaming, even though she was the one caught in the action, right? You gotta love how the women will scream along with even when they're caught. Very interesting. Once home, we set the kids up and we went to our room where I dove in head first. I had her unlock her phone and give it to me, which she eventually did, very reluctantly. That's where it got even more difficult. She admitted to the infidelity with this guy, Thomas, in the basement on multiple occasions, but as I dove deeper in the phone, I found out a couple of other issues. It turns out that while we were dating, before we were married, she had been with a friend in college that I always feared, but she had always denied. She insists, the same with Thomas, that they did not have bedroom fun. Anyway, hearing this, my mind ran away and I began to ask about any and every situation where I feel she may have been able to cheat. Nothing too serious except one. One night years ago, after work, she didn't come home until almost 2. I remember asking where she had been. She told me that she was out, nothing more. Despite my worries in my new relationship naivety, I let it go for the time being, but it always lingered in the back of my mind and burst out that night. As I asked in between anger and hurt, she suddenly tightened up. She started crying, and I assumed that this was the one that would end our relationship. Instead, without going into detail in fairness to her, it was the story of her SA that she had never told anyone. She cried and I cried. We held each other forever. I felt like the world's biggest a-hole while simultaneously hurt and betrayed from the other stories of her actual infidelity outside of the A word. Guys, I'm not going to comment too much on this because YouTube will just, gut the channel if I did. But I would be very skeptical believing that. Right? I would be very, very skeptical believing that and providing sympathy for her terrible actions, because notice how we went into this conversation, right? And it was all on her and her terrible decisions, but all of a sudden there conveniently is something that, she can turn it around. I'm skeptical, to say the least, on this, but let's continue. I assured her that the A word wasn't her fault, and despite my feelings now that I would certainly never hold that against her. What piece of crap would? We stopped the fighting at that point as we were both worn out. Over the next few days, we tried to be cordial and mend fences where possible. The problem was that, as is abundantly clear above, I'm not social media savvy. I don't use them terribly often, if ever. Well, she is and has quite a large following across several platforms. A huge red flag. She has been using those platforms to create sympathy for herself, not giving details but using cryptic messages about how sad that she is, how everything is ruined, how bad her D word currently is. Now our friends are sympathetic towards her without knowing any details, while I appear to be the unsympathetic husband who makes her miserable. What did I tell you guys about the breakups? Right, and about painting dudes in a certain way. I'm recording a couple of videos, so maybe it was the previous one where I mentioned this, in my time about, 42 minutes ago, right, as of this recording. But that's just crazy. We're gonna read the rest of this and kind of wrap up today's episode, guys, because we're running over time. I didn't realize it was this long. Now, I know I'm not free from any blame here. I work a lot, strange hours sometimes. I've had to move my mother and brother in with our family to take care of them, which she has been truly helpful with. I'm also currently dealing with health issues of my own, and I could admit that because of these things, I've not been the most attentive husband in certain ways. I have tried, but it's difficult sometimes as life gets in the way. But the fact is that I wanted to. I'm just not sure she does, and I don't feel that justifies her infidelity. I'm at a loss here. It seems that every direction I look is the wrong one. I don't want to lose my wife. I don't want to lose my girls. I don't want to walk away from her when she needs me, as as we learnt about these things earlier. To get belittled and betrayed, just to brush my shoulders off and say it's no big deal. I'm lost and have nobody else to turn to here. So I took the terrifying step that I'm currently uneducated on and came here. Do I file for divorce, seeing how all this seems to be a troubling trend? Do I stay with my wife despite the betrayal and try to learn to be a better husband for her in her time of need? No. Should I tell my friends and family to save face and reveal the truth, or would that be considered as shaming her? Please help, I don't know what to do. Edit number 1. I've seen it pop up a few times. I was sort of expecting it, but her story is true. I'm not one to share much publicly, but I am as sure as anyone that it wasn't as anyone can be that wasn't an eyeball witness, it happened. That explanation will have to suffice, and I will be ignoring comments suggesting otherwise. I admit that I'm the one who asked for divorce, but this happened. That part is settled. Interesting. I took pictures of the conversations that they had and that we had. I'm compiling the evidence just in case and to keep her honest. 3, this one is on me. When stating that it was this kind of activity, I meant that she was on the receiving end. And edit number 4, alright, I'm going to take a break until tomorrow. Gentlemen, we are going to be leaving today's episode there. We are running overtime, but make sure you leave your thoughts and your comments to this hell of a story. But obviously, the man should leave. Right, and the message for today, guys, is screw marriage, don't get married, and we're going to be leaving it there. So as always, guys, make sure to drop your comments and your thoughts below. Let us know what you think, and if you're interested in supporting the show, guys, make sure you check out the locals link in the description. The first month is totally free on me with code Fiendish, guys, so make sure you check that out if you're interested. But otherwise, we will call today's very long show there, guys. So, as always, make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you boys in the next episode. Peace.